Let's talk about data type in Liquid. In Liquid, variables can hold a different type of data. The first data that we're going to talk about is a string. So if you came from JavaScript world, you know what is a string. So a string is a series of characters in quotes. Could be single quote or double quote. We have an example here. So let's copy that. I'm going to create here a command. So I'm going to say here variable types. And below, I'm going to create a sample command, remember, with the pound. And I'm going to say here a string. A sample example that we already done earlier. So I can say assign like this. And I can write here my name. And if you want to reference a string, you need to use double quotes or you can use single quotes. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and we can say here Joe, something like this. And if I save it, I put here my name. So we're going to have here Joe. So this is like a string. Another one is a number. We can say here my number. So it could be, let's say 10, or it could be 1099. Liquid supports both integer and decimal. And we have the Boolean, okay, is either false or true. They are great for logic checks. So we can do something like this, just to showcase that quickly. We can write here Boolean, my true could be here written like this. And the other one would be like my false, and it could be here written false. The next one that we have is nil. So nil means no value. Okay, it behaves like false in a conditional and doesn't display anything. So it's very like simple. If you have a value and you equal that to a nil, and it's gonna give you emptiness. Could do something like this. Can say nil. So can say my value is equal to nil. So VS Code is going to turn it directly to null. All right, so the next type data is the array. So the array stores a list of items. So if you want to store a lot of data, you can use the array. You can loop through them and access a specific element. So to access all of the item in array, you can loop through each of them using the array or the table row, which we're going to see in the next videos. You can use the square brackets notation to access a specific item in an array, just like in JavaScript. And just for you to know, array indexing starts at 0, just like in JavaScript. You can't initialize array using only Liquid. So it's not possible to create array like we do in JavaScript like this. So first of all, let me do that. Let's write here array and write here my array. You cannot do this like I was saying and start to be like doing like this in Java in Liquid. You can't do that. It's not going to work. Right? So the best way to do that is create some string. Okay, you create a string and you add a value there separated by a comma, and then you create a pipe, a filter following some array method, which is in this case split, and we're splitting using the comma. In this case, is going to turn this string into an array, and then we can now either loop it or either access it using the bracket annotation. Let's try this example. Remember that this you cannot do. You cannot put here, for example, black color. We cannot put here blue. So this you cannot do. Is going to give you an error. To create an array in Liquid, the best way to do that is to first to assign it, just like we read earlier, is to create a string. So we add double quote or single quote, it doesn't matter. And inside we can just referencing element and using comma as a separator. So we can say red, we can say black, we can say blue, we can say green, and then we need to, just like we saw here, we need to use the split array method using the filter. So just after the string here, you need to add now a pipe and then add the split method. Okay, add a colon here, and this split method, taking one argument, is going to split it like depending on your separator. So in this case, we're using the comma, so I'm gonna use a comma here. So in this case now, this is an array, and if I want to access, let's say black, I'm going to do something like this, and I will say my array. I'm gonna use the bracket annotation, and I'm gonna use 1, and it's going to display black here. And array here is 0 indexed, just like in JavaScript. So the next type data is the empty. An object might exist but not containing any data. Okay, that's where the empty comes. All right, so we can have, let's say, an array that is empty. But remember, again, we cannot create an array in Liquid. Okay, so we need to first create a string and then turn that string into an array. So usually it's going to be that you receiving data from Shopify directly using through either object. Okay, so this object could be array object, and then you can check if this array object it is empty or not using an if statement. All right, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe, and I'm going to see you on the next video where we're going to talk about the if statement. Thank you for watching again, and bye.